Welcome back to the Oracle Scroll. Can we talk? Hi, I'm Kevin Walder, your host for the Oracle Scroll. And this, I believe, is the third episode for Can We Talk? This is a little something I've been putting together as much for myself as anyone else, and I'm hoping that we will build a bit of a community and get some conversations started using this. So, in follow-up to what I have been talking about before, I'm going to give you a little background about myself so that maybe we will establish some common ground that we can talk about. As I've made no bones about where I come from, I was born and raised in a fundamentalist household, a fundamentalist Christian household. And I always, if you ever hear me say the word Christian, it has air quotes around it. Assume that, unless otherwise instructed, okay? And I was looking at our current situation as a nation, our political climate, and I was thinking how it was very familiar territory for me. You see, the cult in which I was raised was one that what I call a doomsday cult. It was one that had a great desire to see the end of the world as we know it. They had a great desire to predict the end of the world, and they did so many, many, many times. They were all horrible failures of prediction, but the faithful gobbled it up. The faithful gobbled it up and were totally immersed in the belief that this prediction was going to come true. And I lived through one of those predictions. It was the end of the world as we know it. It was going to impact all our lives, and no one was going to be the same no matter what. So I set out designing my life around that because it was all I'd ever known, so I believed it. I believed it wholeheartedly. Well, the clock kept ticking, and the pages of the calendar kept ripping off and being tossed aside until the date came and the date went, and it was a year later and nothing had even begun to change. So the hierarchy within the cult began damage control. Actually, they began damage control about 6 months prior to their set date because they could see that things weren't progressing the way they thought they might, and so, well, the way they hoped they might. I don't believe they believed it either, to be honest. But they insisted that the rank and file definitely had to believe, and believe with all their heart. So, what did they say about the prediction? Oh, no, we never said that was going to happen. All we said was that this was the end, this was a calendar year and a calendar date that marked the end of a biblical cycle, I guess, and it fit with prophecy. That's all we said, was that it was a marked year. It was a marked year, it was a marked time. And that's all we said. We never said, and you know the word I want to use, but I'm a nice guy, so I won't. But I sat through many of their speeches and meetings and their conventions, and I heard firsthand what they said. And what they were telling me after the fact that they had said was nowhere near, not even close So when I look now and I see our, our president, I hate to even use that word, with a press conference denying everything and denying that this was said, denying he knows this person that he's pictured with, and I mean, oh my gosh, over and over and over again. I recognize that behavior. It's damage control. It has nothing to do with fact. It has nothing to do with sincerity. It is damage control. It is called, in colloquial terms, CYA. And that is exactly how totalitarian dictators, whether they be in a religious system or a political system, that's how they function. They will do whatever they decide they want to do, and then they will deny they've ever done it. And they will insist, this is called gaslighting, that it was your own fault that you misunderstood. It's your own fault that you saw my pictures. It's your own fault that you didn't see my text. Oh, and we won't go there. But anyway, you get the point. So yes, this has been an extremely, I don't want to say enlightening, because it hasn't been enlightening. It's been frustrating as hell, because I've seen this. I have seen it before, and I continue to see it everywhere around me. This is the kind of thing that promotes confusion and all the other things that go along with keeping us disorganized and in disarray, so that we can never organize an effective opposition. And that is the beauty of it all. It works. That's why it keeps being used. If it ever stops working, they will find a new tactic. But it's beautiful in its simplicity, and it works. So that's where we are. And so when I apply the rules to that particular group and that particular cult, and I call them out for their insincerity, their hypocrisy, and their absolute falsehoods, I have to apply the same litmus test to everyone that I encounter. It doesn't really matter what label you choose, what label you've put on yourself, whether you be Christian, Muslim, Jewish, New Age, all the different things that you might call yourself. Those are things that don't really matter at all. How do you conduct your business? How do you conduct yourself? That is how we know you. And unfortunately, knowing you is rarely to love you. So, if you're not walking your walk and walking your talk, I should have said, if you're not walking your talk, I have nothing to offer you. I have no time, I have no energy, and I certainly have no finances to contribute to your cause. And that is where I would love to have some feedback from the group in general. Let's talk. Can we talk? Thank you once again for joining us for this episode of the Oracle Scroll. My books, Tarot for Lunch, Lessons from the Cards, and more recently, 22 Teachers, Healing Lessons from the Major Arcana, are both available on Amazon.com. Please check them out. They are very informative and helpful in learning and understanding the tarot. Also, please stop by kevinwalder.com, my website. You can book appointments for any of the services available at that spot. So stop by and take a look today. And most importantly, please subscribe by hitting the little red button down below, and also click the bell to make sure you don't ever miss an episode.